Hi, today I'm going to be talking about network security and the types of network security protections, and this thing I'm going to be talking now about is a firewall. So firewalls control incoming and outgoing traffic on networks with predetermined security rules. Firewalls keep out unfriendly traffic and is a necessary part of daily computing. Network security relies heavily on firewalls, and especially next generation firewalls, which focus on blocking malware and application layer attacks. So a firewall in nature can either be a software or a hardware. An example of a physical hardware firewall would be an ASA, and a firewall can also be a firewall plus a router. So what the firewall basically does is it keeps any unwanted connection with the outer world restricted. So let's say I have an internal network and an external network, and I tried to ping something from the external network through the firewall to the internal network. The firewall wouldn't not never allow that to pass through, unless we put some access lists that would allow some network from the network, that will allow some connection from a network we want to get through. So yeah, that's it. Network segmentation defines boundaries between network segments where assets within the group have a common junction, risk, or role within an organization. For instance, the perimeter gateway segments a company network from the internet. Potential threats outside the network are prevented, ensuring that an organization's sensitive data remains inside. Organizations can go further by defining additional internal boundaries within the network, which can provide improved network security and access control. Okay, moving on to the next section. So we've come to the question, what is access control? Access control defines the people or groups and devices that have access to network applications and systems, thereby denying unsanctioned access and maybe threats. So what this basically means is only specific people will be able to access specific applications and systems. Therefore, other people who are not privileged enough or allowed to access certain applications will not be able to. This enhances network protection and network security, and because we don't want things to fall in the wrong hands. And speaking about access control, integrations with identity and access management products can strongly identify the user, and role-based access control (RBAC) policies ensure the person and device are authorized to access the asset. Hi, now we're going to be talking about remote access VPN. So remote access VPN provides remote and secure access to a company network to individual hosts or clients such as telecommuters, mobile users, and external consumers. Each host typically has VPN client software loaded or uses a web-based client. Privacy and integrity of sensitive information is ensured through multi-factor authentication, endpoint compliance, scanning, and encryption of all transmitted data. So what this basically means is that remote access VPN provides a way for people, let's say employees or clients or customers or whoever should be on the company network, to get on the network in a remote way, to get on the company's network on a remote way without actually being on site. So that means if someone is 100 miles away, through remote access VPN, they could just remote in to the company's network and do whatever work they wanted to do. So this is a very convenient feature, I believe. And one might ask, what protection is there when it comes to remote access VPN? Like, is it safe? Are we gonna have problems? Well, remote access VPN is ensured through multi-factor authentication. That means before letting anyone in, they will verify it is who it says it is by various personal ways, such as asking for your phone number so they can say the text or call to verify and all that good stuff. So now I'm going to be talking about zero trust network access. So what that basically means is that the zero trust network security model states that a user should only have access and permissions that they require to fulfill their role. This is a very different approach from provided by traditional security solutions like VPNs that grant a user full access to their target network. So zero network access, also known as software defined parameter (SDP) solutions, permits granular access to an organization's applications from users who require that access to perform their duties. So in simple words, it only gives a person enough access to do their duties. So there is no factor in trusting here exactly, because in a zero trust network access system, only the person will only access what they need to, and they don't have access to the whole network. So there's no chance of a compromise here. It is what it is, and me personally, I support this kind of policy and procedure because I don't like taking chances, and I think it's a good model to work with. So now I'm going to be talking about email security. Email security refers to any processes, products, and services designed to protect your email accounts and email contents safe from external threats. Most email service providers have built-in email security features designed to keep you secure, but these may not be enough to stop cybercriminals from accessing your information. So this is basically saying that email security is anything that protects your email accounts and email content from people who could be threats, or any virtual thing that could be a threat. And like many email service providers like Yahoo and Gmail, they already have built-in, pre-built systems and features to keep our email content secure and safe. But like it might not be enough it might not be enough to stop cyber criminals from accessing what they want, because they know how to get around, and that's something we need to work on. Hi, now I'm going to be talking about DLP. You guys might ask, what is DLP? So DLP stands for Data Loss Prevention, and it is a cybersecurity methodology that combines technology and best practices to prevent the exposure of sensitive information outside of an organization, especially regulated data such as personally identifiable information, which we also know as PII, and compliance-related data such as HIP, AA, SOX, PCI, DSS, etc. So in simple words, data loss prevention is just a way to ensure that classified and confidential data does not leak out to the outside world from an organization or from an infrastructure, because you know that when data gets out and personal information gets leaked outside, it causes much damage to privacy and possibly much more, such as financial damage and etc. So data loss prevention is important, and it's pretty much self-explanatory in its name, and it's a highly regulated process, and it's an important process, and it's something that should be taken notice of. So now I'm going to be talking about intrusion prevention systems, and its abbreviation is IPS. So IPS technologies can detect or prevent network security attacks such as brute force attacks. A brute force attack is when a generator tries a huge number of random password cracking attempts to get inside or break through, and denials of service attacks, and exploits vulnerabilities. Okay, a denial of service attacks is when there is a packet overflow, a very large packet overflow. A vulnerability is a weakness, for instance, in a software system, and an exploit is an attack that leverages the vulnerability to gain control of the system. When an exploit is announced, there is often a window of opportunity for attackers to exploit that vulnerability before the security patch is applied. An intrusion prevention system can be used in these cases to quickly block these attacks. So what this basically says is that sometimes our network is not really has security flaws, and it does not take much time for attackers or hackers to find the security flaws and exploit them so they can get inside our network and gain what they want to gain from it, perhaps personal data, or inserting viruses, or causing damage, causing downtime, whatever it is they want to do. And what an intrusion prevention system does is it detects when someone is trying to intrude and it alerts you, and so these attacks can be blocked before any security patch is applied, and it takes time to apply security patches. You can't do it immediately. So yeah, an IPS really helps. So we've come to the question, what is sandbox and how to sandbox? So now I'm going to answer it. Sandboxing is a cybersecurity practice where you run code or open files in a safe, isolated environment on a host machine that mimics end-user operating environments. Sandboxing observes the files or code as they are open and looks for malicious behavior to prevent threats from getting on the network. For example, malware in files such as PDF, Microsoft Word, Excel, and PowerPoint can be safely detected and blocked before the files reach an unsuspecting end user. Okay, so I'm going to be explaining the thing in simple terms. So what an end user is the average daily user of a computer, be it Windows, Mac, Ubuntu, Linux, whatever. So when we sandbox is basically a practice where we run code or open any type of files in an environment that's safe, completely safe, so we don't have to worry about anything. And sandboxing basically does is that it observes the files or code that is being run, and it looks for malicious intent and malicious software or malicious behavior, let's say, and it blocks that. Yeah, that's what sandboxing is in layman's terms. So now I'm going to be talking about hyperscale network security. So hyperscale is the ability of an architecture to scale appropriately as increased demand is added to the system. This solution includes rapid deployment and scaling up or down to meet changes in the network security demands. By tightly integrating networking and compute resources and software-defined system, it is possible to fully utilize all hardware resources available in a clustering solution. So hyperscale is, in an easy term, the ability to scale appropriately. So I like to understand what our requirements and needs might be in the future. So suppose we have a network change somewhere in the network, and hyperscale would be able to protect that or keep an idea about that before it actually happens. So it's something that we should take more notice of, because we need to be prepared for whatever comes, and in the networking world and the computer world, anything can happen at any time. So we need to be prepared at all times. So now I'm going to be talking about cloud network security. So applications and workloads are no longer exclusively hosted on premise in a local data center. Protecting the modern data center requires greater flexibility and innovation to keep pace with the migration of application workloads to the cloud. Software-defined networking and software-defined wide area network solutions enable network security solutions in private, public, hybrid, and the cloud-based firewall deployments. So what it means is that work is the application and works are no longer just processed in a data center, on a physical data center, and the modern data center, like compared to previous years, it takes greater effort to maintain because of the increased workload. And SDN and SD wide area network, which mean software defined networking and software defined wide area networks solutions, what they do is they allow us to enable and have a secure network solutions in like a confided space, which is protected with a firewall as a service deployments. So it's safe. So now I'm going to be talking about robust network security will protect against like what a robust network security will protect against. So it will protect against a virus. A virus is a malicious downloadable file that can lay dormant that replicates itself by changing other computer programs with its own code. Once it spreads, those files are infected and can spread from one computer to another, and or corrupt or destroy network data. So a virus is exactly how it sounds, even in the networking computer cybersecurity world. So if a virus is downloaded, it replicates and it spreads, and it changes the program code, and now the programs have the virus code, and now these programs, if they go onto another computer, they infect in the same way and cause the same type of damage. So a robust network will also protect against worms. So worms can slow down computer networks by eating up bandwidth, as well as the slow the efficiency of your computer to process data. A worm is a standalone malware that can propagate and work independently of other files, where a virus needs a host program to spread. So what a worm basically does is, in simple terms, it slows down the speed of your internet, and it also slows down your computer and the power of your computer to process certain things, programs. And a worm does not need any host to propagate like a virus. It can work independently of other files. It doesn't need any other files to cause damage to you. So a robust network will also protect against a Trojan. A Trojan is a backdoor program that creates an entryway for malicious users to access the computer system by using what looks like a real program, but quickly turns out to be harmful. A Trojan virus can delete files, activate other hidden malware on your computer network, such as a virus and valuable data. So, simply speaking, a Trojan creates an entry point, sort of like a default gateway for a computer network system engineer to access a computer system, and the computer is tricked into thinking that this is a real program, and a Trojan virus can delete whatever it wants in the computer, and if there's any hidden malware, it could go and poke and reactivate it and cause further, and that malware will cause further damage to your computer. And Trojans can steal valuable data. So spyware is another threat here that I would like to mention. So, much like its name, spyware is a computer virus that gathers information about a person or organization without their express knowledge and may send the information gathered to a third party without the consumer's consent. So spyware is pretty self-explanatory. Well, what spyware does is it gathers information and data, and without the permission of the person whose data they're collecting, it can send this data to a third party, and that is a total violation of privacy, integrity, and a lot of other things. So it's not good. And the robust network security will also protect against adware. So adware can redirect your search requests to advertising websites and collect marketing data about you in the process, so that customized advertisements will be displayed based on your search and buying history. So that explains a lot, because that does explain a lot. Like, I'm sure that you people have seen that when you search for something and within the next hour or something you're getting advertisements for the same thing and you think it's weird. So I'm thinking that adware does that because it probably redirects your requests to advertising websites so they can collect your marketing data and give the ads they want to. I think this is kind of cool and wrong at the same time. It's kind of like automation, and okay. And a robust network, secure robust network will also protect against ransomware. So ransomware is a type of Trojan cyberware that is designed to gain money from the person or organization's computer on which it is installed by encrypting data so that is unusable, blocking access to the other system. So ransomware is basically a thief's tool. It can be used to gain money from a person or a computer. That's that. Hi guys, so I'm going to be talking about what is network security. Network security is a broad term that covers a multitude of technologies, devices, and processes. In its simplest term, it is a set of rules and configurations designed to protect the integrity, confidentiality, and accessibility of computer networks and data using software and hardware technologies. For every organization, regardless of size, industry, and infrastructure, requires a degree of network security solutions in place to protect it from the ever-growing landscape of cyber threats in the world today. Today's network architecture is complex and faced with a threat environment that is always changing and attackers that are always trying to find and exploit vulnerabilities. These vulnerabilities can exist in a broad number of areas, including devices, data, applications, users, and locations. For this reasons, there are many network security management tools and applications in use that address individual threats and exploits, and also regulatory non-compliance. When just a few minutes of downtime can cause widespread disruption and massive damage to an organization's bottom line and reputation, it is essential that these protection measures are in place. A few minutes in downtime for an e-commerce website means a lot of money is lost, so we don't want that to happen either. So one might ask the question, how does network security work? So I'm going to answer that. There are many layers to consider when addressing network security across an organization. Attacks can happen at any layer in the network security layers model. So your network security hardware, software, and policies must be designed to address each area. Network security typically consists of three different controls: physical, technical, and administrative. Here is a brief description of the different types of network security and how each control works. Physical network security controls are designed to prevent unauthorized personnel from getting physical access to network components such as routers, cabling cupboards, and so on, and switches, and firewalls, and whatnot. Controlled access such as locks, biometric authentication, and other devices is essential in any organization. Technical network security. Network security controls protect data that is stored on the network or which is in transit across, into or out of the network. Protection is twofold. It needs to protect data and systems from unauthorized personnel, and it also needs to protect against malicious activities from employees. So, administrative network security. Administrative network security controls consist of security policies and processes that control user behavior, including how users are authenticated, their level of access, and also how IT staff members implement changes to the infrastructure. So, types of network security include the following. Network access control. To ensure that potential attackers cannot infiltrate or invade your network, comprehensive access control policies need to be placed both for users and devices. Network access control (NAC) can be set up at the most granular level. For example, you could grant full access to your administrators to the network, but deny access to specific confidential folders to prevent their personal devices from joining the network. Antivirus and animal software protect an organization from a range of malicious software. Antivirus and anti-mole software. These software include viruses, ransomware, worms, and trojans, and maybe even adware. The best software is not only scans files upon entry to the network, but continuously scans and tracks files. Firewalls, as their name suggests, act as a barrier between the untrusted external networks and your trusted internal network. Administrators typically configure a set of defined rules that blocks or permits traffic onto the network. For example, ForcePoint's next-generation firewall offers seamlessly and centrally managed control of network traffic, whether it is physical, virtual, or in the cloud. Virtual private networks create a connection to the network from another endpoint or site. For example, users working from home would typically connect to the organization's network over a VPN. Data between the 2 points is encrypted, and the user would need to authenticate to allow communication between their device and the network. Network security for business and consumers is explained as I'm going to explain. Network security should be a high priority for any organization that works with network data and systems. In addition to protecting assets and the integrity of data from external exploits, network security can also manage network traffic more efficiently, enhance network performance, and ensure secure data between employee and data resources. There are many tools, applications, and utilities available that can help you to secure your network from attack and unnecessary downtime. ForcePoint offers ForcePoint is an application that offers a suite of network security solutions that centralize and simplify what are often complex processes and ensure robust network security as in place across your enterprise. And I recommend you look to ForcePoint. So there's more to talk about when it comes to network security, and such as an access list. An access list lets you access lets you be the boss, and only lets certain users access what you want and not more than that. So an access list is implemented on your network router, and it's useful. It's definitely useful. And network security is a broad topic, you can't really like summarize everything into a video, but I've tried as much as I could, and I think I've done a good job, and I hope you like what I had to say.